Nick Pregnance with Duramax Tuner here on another installation of Diesel Insights. Today I have Anthony Bernini with me.
Yep.
What did you bring me?
Well, I brought you an LB7 today to take a look at. I just recently sold my personal LB7, looking to get back into the diesel market. This is one of my trucks of interest.
Okay. Did you find this at Mecum Auto Auctions?
Just cruising Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace. I found this on Craigslist, so I brought it in today to kind of take a once-over and see what we can do with it.
Okay, so on Diesel Insights today, our topic is what to look for, right? So, young guy like yourself, Anthony, shows up, brings this sweet 2003, 2004 LB7 in. On the brain, you're just like, dude, 650 horsepower at a built trans. Like, just tell me it's good so I can go to my credit union and pull the trigger. But you gotta pull the reins back a little bit, right? We gotta look at it. Mm-hmm. What are we looking for? What do you notice? I mean, you pull this thing in here.
Right off the bat, I notice the intake.
Notice the intake.
That's the first thing I see. I see a big old extension cord for the block heater kind of hanging out there.
Custom shit, yep.
You know it. K&N intake, filter's kind of beat up. I notice there's a little...
Clamp's not on there tight.
A little loose on the clamp.
So, okay.
Right off the bat, that's the first thing I see.
Okay. Tells you a little something about the guy who owned the truck, maybe, right?
Yep.
Why don't you grab that battery to shake it a little bit? Okay.
Oh.
Okay, yep.
Yep.
Might have to fix that.
Yeah.
What else? Anything else jumping out at you?
It looks like there's a turbo replacement. I believe the owner said there's a Stealth 67 that he purchased. I see a downpipe on there as well.
So it's got some performance parts on it.
It's got some mods to it, yeah.
Okay, so it's got some attention to performance side. Solid. So we know some things about the previous owner, right? Dude likes to go fast. Mm-hmm. Dude doesn't really care if the battery's in there tight.
Nope.
I mean, I'm on this side. I see that there's, headlight piece hasn't been pushed all the way through the holes. We're using some tie wraps over here.
Yeah. So, and then if you take a look down, you can see the bumper as well.
Bumper's a little rough.
Yeah.
Okay. But let's talk mechanics, right? So maybe this guy didn't own it for very long. He did some performance work to it. Wants to unload it. We don't know why exactly. Mm-hmm. Maybe he was in the motor, maybe he wasn't. Mm-hmm. Right? So we want to know. Yes, we know that the top end of the motor and the bodywork not exactly perfect. Mm-hmm. But as far as the engine, what are we looking for here? What's the obvious stuff that we can check out?
Right off the bat, what I'm looking for is any signs of leaks, whether it be oil, fuel, or trans fluid.
Okay.
That's right off the bat. I can see someone's installed a turbocharger, whether it be him or previous owner.
Yep.
Somebody's been in there.
Okay.
There's talk of injectors done in the truck as well as transmission, so parts have been moved around. Just want to make sure everything's secure and working as it should. Okay.
So when I show up to look at a truck like this, I tell the guy, don't start the truck, don't move it from where it was parked, leave it sit, preferably a couple days, right? I'm gonna show up and I'm gonna look underneath the truck. Is it wet? Is there oil obviously dripped off the truck? If there is, I know it has an oil leak. I'm gonna pop the hood, I'm gonna look at the engine, see, is there evidence of an oil leak? Is there oil slung up here? Is there evidence of a blown engine, right? Usually when you blow an engine, oil goes all over the hood and the firewall, usually not cleaned, so I'm gonna look for that stuff. I'm going to look at the top end. I'm going to see, is there gasket sealer on there? Is there evidence that the gaskets have been off of there recently? Because he's saying there's injector work that was done to it.
Yep.
If there's evidence of that, say, okay, injectors were done recently. I'm going to look at the head bolts, right? See if there's any evidence like, yeah, these have been replaced. Have things been moved around? Look at the injector lines. Were those replaced with the injectors? Guy who does really good work on injectors probably replaced the injector lines. Guy who doesn't really care as much might not.
Yeah.
Right?
Just check and make sure it's all done thoroughly.
It's that little stuff. Exactly. Then the next thing I'm going to do, while the truck is cold, I'm going to come over and grab the radiator hose. Simple test, right?
Yep.
If I can squeeze the hose, good chance the head gaskets aren't blown. I'm going to look in the coolant tank and see, is there evidence of contaminated coolant? Did the coolant get dark? Because when the head gaskets blow, you get soot in the cooling system, and that soot gets carried to the overflow reservoir, and that reservoir will be dark. On this truck, the reservoir is dark.
Yep.
My gut is the guy probably didn't replace the reservoir after the last head gasket job.
Yeah.
And so we don't know for sure if that's an indicator or not. But I like that the coolant hose is collapsible. Next thing, I'm going to check the oil. So I have you pull the dipstick out. And what we're looking for on the dipstick is quality oil. So is it disgustingly black? Is there any obvious evidence of metal in it? Is it the right level?
Right off the bat, it tells me it's full.
Okay.
I always like to wipe it off.
Wipe it off, check it again, right?
Just get all the way in there.
Basics of your oil check. Is the oil high? If the oil's high, there might be fuel in the system, which could be a cracked or leaking injector or return line underneath. We want to make sure there's no fuel in the oil.
Oil's right at the full mark, a tad high, in my opinion.
How's it smell?
Smells, I don't smell fuel. It
smells like oil? Okay.
Yep.
Easy enough for a basic check. So full, doesn't smell like fuel, good color. Let's pull the trans dipstick next. I know the engine's not running. Typically you're going to test the height of the dipstick with the engine running. But let's have you pull it, look at the color, hold it in the light, give it a smell. Does it smell burned?
Smells fresh. It's red.
Okay.
No signs of burning or anything like that.
We'll check the level later when we get the engine running, but it's cold now, so good to just check it out. While we're back here looking around, have you looked for exhaust leaks? So is there any evidence of exhaust against the firewall? Is there any evidence of exhaust around the downpipe flange, around the center section flange? Anything that's going to show you, yeah, this thing is leaking exhaust. Because when we start having to tear up pipes apart and start having to mess with the exhaust systems, it gets messy quick and it's not pleasant to drive. So there's an expense you're going to run into relatively quickly. This truck, relatively filthy on the back of the firewall, but it's uniformly filthy. There's no extra dirty spot. So I'm going to go ahead and say it doesn't sound like we have any exhaust, or it doesn't look like we have any obvious exhaust leaks. Okay, so the last thing I want to look at is just general situation of the electronics under here. So we know the top end's been off this thing a few times. We know that the previous owner was into performance stuff. We know he's got a lift pump on the truck. There's some evidence of, conduit moved, replaced, tie wraps over here, kind of some loose fuel system. I mean, this is some janky shit over here, to be honest. All these things represent risks for having to troubleshoot down the road.
Exactly.
So anytime somebody's been in a wire or unloomed a wire or anything that's hanging loose, right, is a maybe. And not saying that it's necessarily bad, but it's going to add to the risk of the purchase. And before we close the hood, I'm just going to leave you with the thought that if you've looked at other used vehicles, you know to look for other things, right? Belts, pulleys, brake fluid, power steering fluid levels. This is stuff you'd look for in any gas vehicle or any other vehicle you're going to buy. The stuff that we're talking about is really Duramax specific, is stuff that you should look at specifically on one of these trucks. So let's move on and walk around the truck, start it, talk about what we're looking for as far as idle, as far as smoke quality, as far as balance rates, and the rest of the stuff.
Perfect.
Cool. All right, Anthony, so we were under the hood, we did the walk around, started the truck, checked it out. Now we're inside this truck, place I never thought I'd be in my life. And
it's something.
We're going to check it out, right? So talk to me, man.
Right off the bat, getting in, I noticed the door didn't shut all the way. Really kind of had to pull on that pretty hard. I see it's got an aftermarket head unit, the broken vent. There's a couple, it seems like it's been around the block a couple times. It's pretty beat up right off the bat is what I'm seeing here. A couple.
Yeah. I mean, judging by the amount of black ice and empty cigarette containers in here, and I'm not sure what was.
I think it's a little pump.
A little pump.
Yep.
Got it. All right. So stuff I'm looking for besides a little pump is I want to make sure that the four-wheel drive actuator works. I want to make sure the lights turn on. I want to make sure the switches and the controls work. Yep. So if the blower motor is out of it, if the heat doesn't work, if the AC doesn't work, those are major things you're going to have to spend money on, especially if you're driving the truck in off climate. Once we check and make sure those things work or don't work, we know how much those things are going to cost, we're going to do some diagnostics on the truck. So you've got an auto-cal plugged in there. You're going to go key on, just see if there's any stored trouble codes.
I already got it prompted to display all DTCs.
Okay.
So I'm just going to hit OK right off the bat.
PO 380, PO 530, 2141, 2144. Okay. So we got some trouble codes. I saw a glow plug. There's no shortage of codes.
Yeah, there's a few on there.
Cool. So we're going to check those out and see if, how big they are. The glow plug code shouldn't be too bad, but it's definitely something you can negotiate with them on.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think I saw a barometric pressure sensor, maybe an AC code too.
A couple body control modules, yeah. And I did notice we got the ABS and brake light on as well. talked about a front end replacement.
Okay.
You know, tie rods, ball joints, things like that. So, you know, something else to take a look at. There's a couple lights on the dash.
It wouldn't surprise me if this thing's been in an accident, being that the door's tough to shut.
Yep.
You mentioned that this is a crew cab truck, especially on extended cab trucks. Definitely check that door shut.
Yep.
Right? That's, you know that life.
Yes, I do.
All right. Next thing, I want to check balance rates as well. So, you know, we can load that up on the Spade, or we can look on, this truck comes with a CTS2. Certainly if the thing, you know, if what you're buying comes with a CTS2, or if you have a CTS2 or anything that can read balance rates, we want to check balance rates.
Absolutely.
All right, now that we've looked at the basics, I think it's time to start this thing up, head out on the road, do a road test, you know, check shift quality, check how it drives and steers and goes down the road.
Absolutely.
I don't know why I make this motion when I say steer, but... Okay, so on this cold start, we're going to look at how long it takes the truck to start. So does it crank long, or does it crank for a normal amount of time? And then is there any smoke? So is there black smoke? That might be okay for you. Is there white smoke? If yes, does it smell like fuel? Does it smell like oil? Fuel can be bad injectors. Oil can be bad turbo seal or bad valve seals. So we're just looking for any excessive smoke on cold start. All right, so now that we're in the truck and we're driving along, we want to get the feel for how the truck drives. What does the steering feel like? Does it feel loose? Does it feel tight? Is there any excessive play? Is there noise in the steering? Maybe the power steering pump's bad. Does it pull or drag to one side? Maybe it needs an alignment. Is there loose suspension feeling, right? Does it feel like it's got sway bar end links bad, or loose shock mounts, or, you know, does the truck feel tight or does it feel loose? Because if it feels loose, you're going to end up paying for it. Throttle response. Does it go like it should? This is probably something that you know pretty well. Most guys who are listening to this video know what they expect from a truck when it goes. Is there excessive black smoke on acceleration? Is there any noise that sounds like a boost leak? Is there any noise that sounds like an exhaust leak, a squirrel under the hood? Do you smell smoke? Do you smell exhaust? The truck should smell relatively clean, right? You shouldn't be in a cab with CO2 emissions. Use the brakes. What do the brakes feel like? Are they spongy? Does it pull to one side? Does it stop well? Do they pulsate? And you're always looking for shift quality, okay? Drivability. Does the truck respond? Does it go through the gears smoothly? Is each clutch engagement smooth? Is there any flaring? Is there any excessive defuel? Is there any slamming? Is there anything that makes you think the trans is unhappy? If the guy letting you take it for a test drive is going to let you roll on it in fifth gear, you want to do that. Roll on it in fifth gear, see if the truck goes in a limp mode, right? If it goes in a limp mode, that's going to cost you a transmission, so you want to be aware of that. See more at our limp mode episode if you want to learn on that. All right, Anthony, we're under the truck. Let's see what this thing has to offer, man.
Let's take a look.
I'm excited. So underneath the truck, we're looking for leaks. We're looking for stuff that shouldn't be there and leaks. I'm going to start in the front. Okay, so I'm just going to look up underneath. Leaks, right? Obviously, this thing's caked in oil. It looks like a lot of it's coming from the power steering assembly over here. Maybe the upper oil pan. I'm going to take a light up here and look at the weep hole in the water pump, looking for any dex cool that's coming down. Water pump looks like it's in okay shape. Then I'm going to go over to the corners here, look at CV boots, right? So is there anything in the CVs? Are they slinging oil anywhere? Just take a look in there.
Yeah, this one looks all right to me.
Okay, poke your ball joints, see if there's grease in there. These things look pretty rough.
Yeah, especially the top ones.
Especially the uppers, yeah. Looks like there's some front end work done to the truck. It's got sleeves on it. Do the tires move?
Tires go forward.
Nice. I'm just gonna kind of grab the outside here and look for play. You wanna look for play in the pitman arm assembly. So over here.
Absolutely.
Like get under the truck and look.
Yeah.
Thanks, buddy. Looks tight.
A little bit of play, but it looks overall.
Feels pretty tight.
Yeah.
Okay. Front carrier. It's clearly been RTV'd more recently than not. Somebody was in there, you know. Noteworthy.
Yep. See a little bit of a chunk taken out of the lower part of the fan shroud too.
Definitely. Definitely. It's no secret this truck has had some hard miles. Okay, so as we're coming back, just gonna look at the U-joints, look good, look original. Lower pan looks good, no leaks. Doesn't look like the rear main's leaking at all.
I see some aftermarket trans
Got
lines.
fresh
as well.
trans lines, yeah, that's nice to see there. No leaks there. I mean, it's a common leak point on the trans cooler and the trans lines back here. Not to see that is encouraging. As we continue to move back, oh, that's interesting. So, push on the transfer case assembly. Looks like the mounts are good, but we do have some weld, and we should probably get the camera on that just to show you. It's real common to have pump rub issues on these transfer cases, where the internals, rotating assembly, rubs through on the case, and then you lose all the fluid. And it looks like this one has had that issue, and it looks like it's been repaired.
Yes.
I don't know if I trust that repair. I also want to draw your attention to the brake lines along the spot up here. Usually in the plow trucks and the Midwestern trucks, after about 15 years, those need to be replaced. Yep. These look rusty. It's probably in your future. Fuel lines on the fuel cooler. Common leak spot. Doesn't look like they're leaking. They're up top there.
Yep.
Looks like we're okay. Looks like this drive shaft's been replaced relatively recently.
Yeah.
Got a little bit of seepage on the transfer case outlet there, but looks like that's in good shape. The truck has a FAS on it. The interesting thing is that the FAS mount has been tightened to the point of fracture. These fuel lines, these blue fuel lines, I mean, they're okay. They last for a little while, but I wouldn't plumb my whole fuel system with them, and I certainly wouldn't be tie wrapping them to everything. And because this shit leaks after a while, right? Rust all over the FAS filter. Looks like it probably hasn't seen service in a while.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
And,
traction bar mounts.
Kind of making the way back. Yeah, I noticed right off the bat, traction bar mounts. Looks like somebody let Helen Keller get a welder, put these bad boys on.
These things are pretty rough.
They are pretty rough.
Go back to the back here. Looking for a pinion seal leak. I don't see a pinion seal leak. That's nice. Exhaust looks like it's in decent shape.
Yeah.
It's got some big ass 5-inch exhaust. I don't see any black smoke blowing out of any of the joints, which is typical exhaust leaks that you're going to have to fix. Looks like the truck had a stack at one point.
Yep.
I see there's a hubcap in there right now. Hubcap in there. Shocks, not terribly rusty. Still there.
Yeah.
Good to take a little peek at the brakes.
Absolutely.
Rotors, not so super hot. Looks like there's a little bit of pad material left. You know, that's the basics.
Yeah.
No leak on the rear diff. I don't know what you're expecting with this thing.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to have to soak some money in, especially up front with the power steering, the oil pan.
There's some care that needs to be tended to.
Probably some
sure.
brake lines in the not so distant future. But I mean, all in all, for an 0304 truck, that's kind of the way it goes. All right, so overall, I wouldn't say it's a particularly well taken care of truck. I mean, there's quite a few items underneath here that signal that.
Yeah.
You're going to be putting, you know, a couple $1,000s into it over the next couple of years, easily, based on what I've seen.
I'd agree.
So we looked underneath. We did diagnostics on it. Showed us some codes. We looked on the inside, make sure all the controls work. Decent inside.
Yeah.
Body, not so hot. Ride along. I mean, the truck drives well. It makes good power. If you're just looking for a hot rod rig that's gonna get you
have fun with.
Yeah, have fun, get you through the winter, do some burnouts, dump it when it gets to be too much on the maintenance side, which it looks like this guy is about to do on you. You know, that's your call. But at least you go into the purchase knowing what you're in for.
Absolutely.
And, you know, knowing that it's not going to be a free ride.
Yep.
Cool. LB7s for the win. If you're looking at an older LB7 or LLY truck, hopefully this helps you out. Take your time. Don't get excited about a horsepower number. Look it over, put it on a rack, take it for a test drive. Watch this video before you do it. I'm Nick. This is Anthony. Thanks for watching.